Every time you open your phone, you are thrown into an arena of carefully curated lives. Algorithms feed you an endless stream of achievements, forcing a constant comparison between your reality and everyone else's highlight reel. Living in this environment extracts a heavy toll. When you measure your worth against digital standards, the pressure to conform and succeed chips away at self-belief, leaving behind a persistent, low-grade anxiety. But the crushing weight of societal expectation is an old human problem. If we rewind back to early 19th century New England, we find everyday people suffocating under a remarkably similar pressure. Instead of digital feeds, they had rigid religious orthodoxies, specifically Calvinism, dictating every single aspect of moral and social life. Communities enforced strict rules, trapping individuals in a system where unquestioning obedience to tradition was required to survive among the masses. When any society demands absolute obedience, someone inevitably looks for an escape hatch. In response to this intense pressure to conform, a group of thinkers developed Transcendentalism, a philosophy designed specifically to drown out the noise of the crowd. At its core, this philosophy operates on a single powerful premise: humans are inherently good, and your inner intuition is a far more reliable guide than any external authority or established institution. The philosophical architect of this idea was Ralph Waldo Emerson. He defined what intellectual individualism could actually look like. Emerson's approach was highly abstract. In works like his 1836 essay, Nature, he argued that the human mind actively shapes the physical world around it, meaning truth isn't something you are handed by a church or a government, but something you perceive inwardly. His core directive to his readers was simple: reject the heavy expectations of society. He urged people to form an original relation to the universe by trusting their own internal compass. By giving people the theoretical framework to trust themselves, Emerson effectively provided a mental permission slip to detach from the herd. But theory is only part of the equation. Henry David Thoreau took Emerson's ideas and forced them into the physical world. Thoreau chose to physically withdraw from society to live independently in the woods. By building his own life away from the city, he enacted a radical form of self-reliance. This was a highly documented study in simple living and self-sufficiency, which he meticulously recorded in his 1854 book, Walden. Even in his isolation, Thoreau maintained a fierce political presence. He refused to pay taxes that supported policies he found unjust, articulating his resistance in his famous essay, Civil Disobedience. Emerson gave people the philosophy to think differently. Thoreau built a cabin and proved that a fully independent, self-directed life was entirely possible. Living alone in the woods sounds appealing, but it reveals the major flaw of Transcendentalism. Total independence is completely impractical for the average person, who is tethered to reality by family responsibilities, piles of bills, and daily work obligations. This animated diagram shows what happens when individualism goes too far. If everyone rejects shared laws, the connected nodes of society start severing, leading to instability. While blind obedience restricts freedom, mutual cooperation is required to keep communities running smoothly. Physical isolation on a mass scale is an unscalable myth. A society cannot sustain itself if every citizen abandons their civic duties to live alone in the wilderness. Fortunately, the value of Transcendentalism today relies entirely on emotional emancipation, not physical abandonment. We still face intense competition in the job market and the draining demand for external validation on social networks. Emerson's specific concept of self-reliance serves as a highly effective psychological shield against these modern forces. When you cultivate deep self-belief and learn to trust your own inner voice, you stop measuring your progress against the carefully curated online profiles of your peers. That shift in perspective neutralizes the anxiety of comparison. We don't need to retreat to Walden Pond to find peace. By practicing radical self-reliance, we can learn to live authentically within the modern crowd, entirely unbothered by its noise.